And here we are. We're live. Hello, everybody. Um, this is George from Draftbit. Today is Tuesday, November 23rd. It is Thanksgiving week here in the US. Everything is a little slow down a little bit. So I figured we'll do just a nice little live stream about how to build an app, a mobile app, iOS, Android app. How do you do that without knowing how to code? Um, so I'm gonna just try to do that for the next, hour. We're gonna make an app, no code, and we're gonna make a to-do app, like a to-do list app. We're gonna do it using Draftbit, which I happen to know quite a bit. And that's it. Let's see. For those who haven't seen some of the recording we do, or like office hour, we do a drive it here. It's very casual, and this one is going to be on the more casual side of the casual ones. So, we're going to try to get it slow. Give everybody a chance to join in. I see Rahul has joined in. Hey, Rahul, how you doing? Must be pretty late where you are now, 3:30. Let's see if I can share my screen. I want to show you guys one little thing. Let me set up quick. So giving everybody a chance to join in. All right. I'm going to have to improve my live stream setup. Okay, so sharing my screen. All right, I'm assuming you guys should all be able to see my screen now. This is, by the way, our community site. For those who don't know, if you go to community.draftbit.com, you can see people asking questions. We talk about everything that's new at Draftbit. So it's kind of a good place to hang out if you're curious about the community. What else? Yeah, so this is kind of what I thought. So for today, let me make my screen bigger. Remove that. Okay. So there's a couple of things I'm going to do differently. I'm going to force myself, as maybe you can tell, to slow down a little bit. We're going to go into it slowly. Previous live stream were really about speed, where we wanted to demonstrate, you can do an app in 1 hour and go all the way to publishing to test flight under 1 hour. And this is great, and we've done it. As a matter of fact, I recommend you watching it. Here, I'm going to put it, I think we did for the MakerPad cohort we did. So like in 1 hour, let me remove that timestamp here. We were able to build an app from scratch and publish it to test flight.
Amazing.
And it was all narrated by my coworker, Nick. So it's really, it's kind of an entertaining video. I highly recommend it. Here it is. I'm showing this in the comments. But for today, the goal is a little bit different. It's not about speed. It's about kind of the process of building your app and iterating through it and all the up and downs of those first few minutes and hours. So I might not spend a lot of time publishing as well. We've covered that other places. I'm going to also skip over Auth Authentication because for those who've seen me talk about it, you know how much I love authentication. I think authentication in any kind of mobile app builder or web app builder is an amazing feature because that really covers everything that you need to have implemented, like how to communicate with a third-party backend, how do you exchange token, how do you make authenticated requests, how to get back information, pass the information, save that. Like there's just a suite of use cases that authentication covers. So once you've done authentication, when your product allow authentication, you've touched on a lot of things. Again, because I feel like I talk a lot about authentication. So in this video, I'm going to put that aside. It's not going to be authenticated. What we're going to do is trying to do a list. The use case we're going to do is listing all the to-do. So I'll show you. I have a backend ready for it. We're going to list all the to-dos, and then we're going to add a new to-do in the list, and then we're going to mark it as done, and then we're going to have the ability to delete it. That's it. We're going to try to do that. That's our goal. Beyond that, I have a couple of ideas of what could be fun to build, but I want people also contribute if you have any thoughts. I'm going to try to keep an eye on the chat as well. So, if you have ideas or stuff you want to see me build, feel free. Let me know. We can do it together. That's pretty much it. Like I said, it was very. I guess I should mention one thing before I get started. One of the motivation behind this video is that we've released a lot of new things recently at Draftbit, big and small features. The big feature is data synchronization, and I'm gonna spend a lot of time demonstrating that today with the to-do list app. But essentially, we've integrated React Query for those who are a little bit more technical. And what it does is all your data that's coming from different endpoints is always going to be in sync. It's always going to be updated automatically for you. And I'll show what that means. But this is a big deal because that lets you do way more interactive stuff like the to-do list. What else? We've released a lot of components lately. We have upgraded to the Expo SDK 43, which fixes a lot of bugs and performance and dependencies and package issues and stuff like that. So I figured, we do some videos about specific feature, but I figured it might be good to take a step back and just do a more a real use case by building a real app. So here it is. That said, 5 minutes in, I'm just going to get started and build a to-do list app. All right, let me go back. That was me trying out a little bit earlier. Okay, here it is. Ladies and gentlemen, we are building a to-do list app. To-do list, I'm going to call it. So this is Draftbit. For those who haven't seen it before, this is the dashboard of Draftbit. We kind of give you a wizard to help you, depending on what kind of things you're trying to show on the screen or not. I'm going to just do a blank app for now. So both you and I start from scratch. Hopefully everybody, you don't have to have knowledge about the platform, pre-existing knowledge. All right, start building. I'm going to make my screen a little bit bigger because the feedback I received last time was a little too small. So I think that should be fine. And let me know if you can see all right and you hear me okay in the chat. That'd be helpful. Okay, so to-do list. So let's get started. The first thing we need, because it's going to be a data-heavy app, so we need a backend. So I'm going to use a fake backend just for this demo that's available at example-data.draftbit.com. So this is our example data backend. And we've made it kind of a static backend with mock data. And we've done it that way people can just try a few things very quickly. And so I'm going to do just that. We have a few different endpoints for authors and article and books, posts, products, org people, podcast, videos, users, sneakers, and one for to-do. And the reason we have all that is to cover whatever kind of content you might want to build the app around. So and we give you, before I go into the to-do one, we show you, you have different ways to access it and how to maybe filter and limit the number of results, how to update. You can also do post requests against that backend. So, we give you what you will expect from a fairly straightforward and simple backend. And so today we're going to use this one, to-dos. So this is just a simple endpoint. You see there's already a limit to 10, but you can remove that and have all of it. So it returns about 100 kind of to-do list, to-do item. And it's just an ID, a title, like the name of your task, and then a couple of booleans to know, is it done, is it deleted, when was it done, when was it deleted, when was it created, and a priority. And there's also this one little caveat thing, what to-do list does it be, which list does it belong to? I didn't show that, but there's another endpoint that is, let me just here, that's to-do_list. And this is how you will organize your list. Here's my professional to-do list and my personal to-do list and whatever it is. So I've got one, if I remove the limit, you can see I've made a George to-do list just for the purpose of this demo. And yet it has the ID 11. So now I'm not going to deal with that really, but every time I look at my to-do items, I'm only going to be interested in the one that come from the to-do list number 11. And so I only created one so far. If I go at the very bottom, you see that's the one. So there's one to-do item that belongs to the list we're going to use for this demo, and it's about like demo Draftbit, and it's not completed yet. Or actually it is, because I was playing with it earlier. We'll change that. Okay, so that's essentially it. That's my backend, right? Not much to it. It's going to be a typical REST API backend. Obviously, you guys are going to use your own, whether it's backendless, Supabase, Airtable, Xano, yeah, any of those, like Bubble, the Bubble says backend that they expose. So whatever it is, it should, if it's a a modern backend, it should follow the same REST API format, and so it should work very well in Draftbit. All right, so first thing I want to do is I want to fetch all my data. So I'm going to add a fetch component. Oh, I can't type. It is. Also, throughout this demo, you're probably going to see me do just stuff that are not necessarily critical for you, but that's just how I work. So, for example, like I don't like to have the blank screen be called blank. So I usually just replace the name of the screen when I come in. I like to rename stuff. Okay, so I need to fetch all my data. Okay, so I click on that fetch component to the data tab, and I need to give it a service, like a service and an endpoint. That's your backend. But there's none so far, right? The dropdown is empty. So I'm going to create a new service. I'm going to call it example data, because that's what we use. HTTPS example-data.draftbit.com. Okay, that's essentially it. That's the endpoint for my service. That was a service. I'm gonna add a few endpoints now. The first one, the first use case I care about is just show me the list of all my to-dos. So get to-dos. Give me the name, and it's a get. It's to get many of them, not just one. I want to get the whole list. I don't want to create one. I don't want to update one or delete an existing one. I want to get many one. Okay, object type. I'm going to do a little side note on object type. Here, what you want to do is say to-dos or to-do, or find one name that define the entities that you're trying to either retrieve from your backend or change. So in my case, I'm dealing with to-dos, like to-do items. You could be dealing with orders for your application, or sneakers, or a list of restaurants. So in that case, you will type like restaurants. It is important. The reason we're asking you to give us a name that defines the type of object you're referring to is because as you keep adding endpoints, if they use the same object type, so if you're telling us all those endpoints, like my get, my patch, my delete, all those endpoints, they are affecting the same object type, then in the front end, in Draftbit, we're going to make sure when you do one, all of the others, when you use one of those endpoints, all the other ones are going to be updated automatically for you. That makes sense? So if you have a list that shows all your to-dos, and then you have another screen that just update or add a to-do, you don't have to add the to-do and then do another action to re-update the list. It'll automatically re-update that main list because they know that they are referencing the same object type. So that's a big part of what we get from having integrated React Query into the platform. That's a big update that we've done. That's essentially what allows us to do data synchronization. All right, feel free to ask questions if you have more questions about that. Otherwise, I'll just keep on going. Okay, so the endpoint, if you remember, it was /todo. All right, so I'm going to put that here. All right. Oh, actually, I want to do, well, I can show you. So that's going to return the list of all the to-dos, 101 of them. I can expand that and see the whole list. Now, this is great, but as I said before, I only want to care about the one that belongs to the to-do list 11. That's the one that I just want for my demo. So for that, if you scroll down a little bit in documentation, you see that we have a way to only take from the to-do list, in this case 3, but in my case 11, and take only those to-dos. So I'm going to do that. That'd be better. So I said I'm 11, but it's essentially the same thing. It's a call to that to-do endpoint. And here it is. I'm getting one object back. It's a demo Draftbit to-do. That's it. So I'm going to save that. And just like that, I've created a service and an endpoint. All right, get to-dos. Now I can select it and say, this is a service. This is the endpoint. I see a little preview. Now that I've fetched it, what do I want to do with it? I want to list and iterate through all of the results. And like I said, I like to rename my components. So this is to-dos. This is just one to-do. And I'm iterating through it. I have to let it know which part of the response do I want to iterate through. So I'm doing just that. And then let's see, I'm going to add a view, which is essentially just a container. And I'm going to just display the text, like the title of the to-do. Title. Okay. So now when you have a text component like that, it's on the page. I can see it here. But I want to use the data that I've been getting back. So I'm just going to create a variable. And the way you create a variable is by using the double curly bracket syntax. And I could put anything I want in here, foo, var, whatever it is. I might as well. I like to give it a name that makes sense. It makes things easier. And then once I have a variable, I can now map it to the data that I've been getting back from the server. So here it is, title. Okay, so that's it, demo Draftbit. Now, this is good, but what I want to do is add one now. So let me go back here. So it is cool, but I really want to add more than one, right? So what I'm going to do is, before I even list them all, I'm going to put another container, another view at the top, at the top, and then I'm going to do an input text. Here we go, and then maybe a button to say here's a new to do and enter, essentially. So that's going to be the title. That's going to be just an add button. Title value. This is essentially the variable name for that component. You're gonna see me use that name other places. You don't have to change it. You know, it was set to text input value, and that's perfectly fine. Just like to give it a slightly more accurate name, or more explicit name, I should say. Okay, this I'm going to change the default text because I don't want that get studied. I want to add it to do. So that's it. Just add for now. That should be. You know what? Let's be very explicit as well. And so when I click on that, I'm going to also change the placeholder text for the text input because it's not very nice right now. So instead of this, I'm going to say here is a to-do item. I don't know. Yeah. Oh, and before I go any further, I'm going to do a tiny bit of margin and padding, and just to make it a little bit nicer. Okay, so I probably want to put a little padding or margin at the bottom of this, and maybe a little bit of margin at the top of my button. Okay, all right, just like looking slightly nicer. Okay, so when someone click on the button, I want to create on press. I want to create an action. I want the action to be an API request to add to my example data. So I've got a service set up, but I need a new endpoint. I don't want to get them. I want to add them. So I'm going to create a new endpoint. All right, here we go. I'm going to call it create to do. And it's going to be a post. And the role is going to be obviously create. I'm not updating an existing one. I'm not deleting an existing one. I'm just creating something new. So here it is. And that's the magic we had before. I want to use that same name just so it knows when I'm adding this one, it needs to update the list below. Everything is going to be automatically updated, and that's key. That's going to make the interaction so much nicer. So how do I add an endpoint? It's going to be, again, on my to-do endpoint, and I have to pass it in the body of the request. I have to pass it the value. So here's what I'm going to copy this here. So that's what I want to send, right? I'm going to do a little bit of formatting because otherwise it's not going to work. It needs to be proper JSON. And then I'm going to turn some of those fields into, I got very scared of a sudden. I saw 3:52. I thought we were over at time, but no, because I started at 3:30. So we have still 40 minutes. We're good. Okay, so this is the body. I'm not going to give it the ID because the ID is going to be auto-generated. So I don't have to care about that. The title, I don't want a static title, right? I want the title to be dynamic, so I can change it every time. I probably want the done, like check field, to be always false when I add something new. I haven't done it when I just add it. Same thing for delete. It's going to be empty. Created on is going to be created on today, might as well. And the date for when it's been deleted is going to be empty as well. The list ID is 11 because that's, if you remember, that's my ID. That's the list I created for this demo. And priority 1, it doesn't really matter. Okay, so for the title, we're going to say you say hello. Okay. There's no header. Okay, let's try it. Okay, looks like I got a 201 created response. So if I look at my backend now, look, I see it here. Say hello. It's false, I haven't checked it yet. Okay, everything seems fine, and the ID is 102, so it auto-generated that ID for me, which is what I wanted. I'm going to save that. All right, and just like that, I now have that create to-do endpoint. So I'm done here, and again, I'm gonna use that endpoint for the interaction on the button that says add a to-do. And the title is going to be what's coming from that text input component that I had just renamed title value. Okay, by the way, you can see my say hello already. It's already updated. Okay, so that should be enough to just add a new to-do. Let's preview it. So we have a few ways to preview. This is kind of our draft view. This is where you like build stuff and you see that like blue outline to see where all your components are. That's great. You can go pretty fast. If you want to kind of get a more realistic sense of what it looks like, I highly recommend you check on the web preview. We also have iOS preview and Android preview. I'll talk about it. I'll talk a little bit about that maybe a little later when we get closer to real app. Okay. So this is what it looks like. Let's give it a try. Say hello and say hello back. That's going to be a nice acknowledgement. Add a to-do, and boom. As soon as I clicked, it added it here. And if I look at my backend again, yeah, here it is. So I've just done like a back and forth with my server, and I kept every endpoint in sync by using that object type value. All right. It's pretty good. It's working out, but we're still far from having a functional, realistic to-do list app. The biggest thing we're missing from any to-do list app is that you can check things off. So in my list, right next to the title, I'm going to add a checkbox. Here we go, checkbox. I'm going to put it right before. Now, we have many ways for you to style things in Draftbit. The one we recommend you use is the flex layout, like the flex box. So I'm going to do just that in that view. I'm going to move the direction to row, so everything should be horizontal now, as you can see. And I think I want to just center them vertically, horizontally. Well, it's kind of centered vertically. Anyway, you know what I mean. Okay, now that checkbox is cool, but if you notice, it's not reflecting what's being checked or not checked in the done field that I'm getting back from my backend. So how do I do that? I need to connect it to the data. And so if I go to the data tab, I have this initial value that I can set to done. And here we go. So let me move those. So the first one, demo draft bit, you see it's true. The other two are false. And that's why I see here. The first one is true, the other two are false. And it just changed automatically just by connecting the data, which is what you would expect. Now, the real interesting thing is I want that when I click that checkbox, I want to do an interaction. I want to update that field. So right now, when I press it, it doesn't do anything. There is no action associated to that. So I want to add an action. I want to make an API request to that same backend, same service. But I'm going to need to create yet another endpoint because I'm not trying to get all the to-dos. I'm not trying to create a new to-do. I want to update an existing one. So I'm going to do just that. Create a new endpoint, update to-do. It's a patch. You could probably do it with a put. Could you do it with a put? Anyway, I'm going to do it with a patch. Essentially, for those who are not familiar with those, get is typically to receive information. Post is to like push information back to your server. Put and patch are meant to kind of update, edit an existing item in your backend. Put is to replace. You have to redefine all the fields and replace everything as you want to change an existing one. Where patch, you can just say, oh, change just that value. It's either it's might be the other way around. I always have to check those things, but it doesn't really matter. Like for the purpose of this video, they should work. The patch should work for here. And delete is when you want to remove something from your backend. Okay, so it's a patch. The role, like I just said, is to update it. So we're going to do update. The object type, again, we absolutely have to put the same one we've been using before. So we know that when I update one of those to do, the list is updated and everything is updated. Okay. Now I have to tell it the difference here. I have to tell it which one I'm updating. And so I'm going to give it an ID. This is a common format. Like that's what we use for this backend. Your backend might be slightly different. So have a look at your doc, figure out how you kind of define specific item in your database. But this is how it's done for us. So I'm gonna, again, we create variable by doing the double curly brackets. So when I did that, I automatically have this now ID value that I have to set up. As a test, I'm gonna just try to update the 102, which if you remember is the one that says hello. Okay, and what I want to update is let's just update the well, not the title actually, the one that says done, because that's what I care about. When I click the checkbox, I want to change that to to the done steps. So right now it's false. As a test, I'm going to make it true. And I'm not adding any of the other field. That's what I was saying about the patches. I don't want to touch the rest. I mean, maybe if I was doing a complete demo, I would want to update the completed on date. But for now, I'm going to keep it simple and just update the done field. Okay. Header, all good. Let's try it. Okay, so it works. 200, okay. Response, that's great. This is a say hello to the list item that I wanted to update. The 102 one is perfect. And I can see now my done field is true. So here, see, it's false here, but if I refresh, now it's true. So that worked. I can save that endpoint. And this is what I can now use to kind of map my checkbox with my backend. So when I press my checkbox, I want to update the to-do that has this ID. I got to give it the ID. Remember in the past, like to do slash and then curly bracket ID. So I got to tell it which ID. And I got to tell it what status to put it on. So I'm going to use the checkbox value. See, I added a checkbox. I didn't rename it, but if I look at my checkbox, it has this like checkbox value. If I put it like done value, which is what that checkbox does, now I can do something even a little more explicit, and I should see done here. So I'm going to do that. Okay. All right, let's try it. Go back to web preview. That's my checkbox, my title. They are like false, false, and true. You know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to do so you can all see a little bit better. Show it here. Wait. There we go. Now we just see the one we care about. Okay, so true, true, false. True, true, false. Let's play with it. What if I say this one is not done, this one is not done? Oh, wait, this one is done. Did it go through? False, false, true. All right. So I've been updating my backend. And, you know, if I like refresh or try preview again, now that data is there and stays there. All right. So it's been 30 minutes. In 30 minutes, we've done the very, very, very bare minimum of your to-do list. You can add an item. Here is a new to-do item. Go. And by default, it's not done. But if I click on, then it's marked as true. Okay. What's next? What are we going to do next? I want to delete. Do I want to delete? Oh, no, I want to change that text. Would that be more interesting first? Yeah, we're going to do, what if I want to change that text? I could either delete, create a new one, but maybe I just made a typo. But what if I say yet another to-do item with a typo? As you can see, I forgot an H. And I want to be able to fix that. Ugh, that gives me anxiety. I don't like that. Okay, so instead of displaying it as just a pure text, I'm going to put that text inside the text input. That way I can edit it. Let's try it. Input. You can see what's here. Okay, I'm gonna excuse me. We're gonna give it a default value to connect it again to the backend. So I'm gonna say show me the title as part of the initial value. Oh, wait a second. Show me the title. I'm worried that we've just made a change to the text input, and I'm wondering we broke something, unfortunately. No, that's too bad. Let's see. Do I have a way to fix that quickly? So I want that initial value. So I'm going to give you a little bit of an inside look on what we're doing. We are rethinking the way we approach variable inside Draftbit, and so you will essentially we're still working on it, but most likely you'll be able to set variable at the screen level, which you're not able to do right now. And for example, I have a variable I have any kind of variable declared up top, and then we use them in different components. So you can have like more than one component affecting the same variable, which is powerful for other reasons. But as we're doing that work, I'm a little bit worried that we broke something that lets you set the default value here to the text component. Let's see if I can do. Yeah, I can hack it. Just curious. Let's see if this one works. Yes, funny enough, the search bar works, but the text component doesn't. Okay. So you know what, folks? this is what happens when we do things live. We're gonna come back to you on that. So for now, I'm not gonna update this. No, what I'm gonna do is the first solution I mentioned, which is, admittedly not as great, but we're gonna add the ability to delete an item and add a new one that we can fix the typos. Okay, so in order to do that, for each item, I'm going to add an icon button. And so it's what you would expect. Like, it's pretty self-explanatory. It's a button, but it's just an image used as a button. So I'm going to give it an icon. We have a ton of icons. For those who haven't noticed that, in Draftbit, you've got access to all those icon sets. So some of the famous ones, the material design and all that. I'm looking for a garbage icon or like a waste recycle bin. Wait, if I do edge, how did I find it? What's the right bin? Oh, bin. Okay, fine enough. Trash bin. That's the one what I was looking for. Okay, trash bin. I do want one with the X because I think it makes things a little bit clearer, although small design is kind of nice. All right. All right, I'm going to use this one. Let's see what it looks like. It's small enough. Okay. We're going to make it red. That way people know what to expect. I think we're going to make it a little smaller. Maybe a little smaller than that. Here we go. Okay. And doing a little bit of styling, what we're going to do. So here's what I want to do. I want my checkbox. We're going to do some design right now. Watch out, folks. It's happening. So I want my checkbox and my text. And then all the way to the right, I want my trash can. So for that, if I just do the space between, they're all going to be spread out. And my text is going to be in the middle, which is not, it's workable, but I don't love it. So instead, what I'm going to do is keep it like that, but I'm going to put the checkbox and the title in their own view. I'm going to put that view at the beginning. And so now, granted, I make that view a row. Here we go. That's exactly what I wanted. I'm going to put a little bit of space also between those items because I want to make it a little more obvious which is which. Okay, and just gonna come back and center this one. All right, now that looks better, right? Okay, we're getting somewhere. Oh, also, you know what? This is really a side note, but I'm not a big fan myself of the title at the top of application. This is like Draftbit. It's, we try not to be opinionated about it. So if you want it, you can have it. I'm not a big fan myself, so I tend to typically, here the root navigator, I like to remove that header mode. It's a small thing, but if you look at it, I prefer it myself. Design preference, whatever you like. Okay, so now I have this trash can, which is great, but it needs to do something. Delete, that's the word. Okay, checkbox, title. This is the done, title, delete. Okay, so now that trash can, we're gonna make it do an action. By now, if you've not picked up on things, or if we haven't used Draftbit in the past, you should hopefully get the sense. Everything you see on the left is going to be your screens and your component. Everything in the middle is your canvas. You can see the result, and everything on the right is like style, configuration, data, interaction, all the meat of each component. And then we'll talk about maybe the top nav stuff a little bit later when we go a little further in the app. Okay, so when I press the delete button, the trash can, I want to do an API request. I want the API request to be to the same backend, but again, I need a new endpoint. I need a delete endpoint. So there are many ways to do, by the way, a to-do list app. one way you could do it is by adding another endpoint for delete. That will essentially just remove it. Oh, let me make that bigger as well. Okay, that will just remove the entire thing from my backend. Or maybe I don't want to actually remove it. I want to just mark it as like, all right, I don't want to see it again. Like it's deleted from a user point of view, but not from a backend point of view. My backend might want to keep that information just to, I want to restore it later on, or have some data about like when did I achieve specific task and how long did it take me and stuff like that. So I don't want to really remove it from the database. In my case, maybe you do. Both scenarios are okay. So for that, to try to do what I just said, for me, I'm going to use that deleted and deleted on kind of field. So I'm not going to remove it entirely. I'm just going to put that deleted field true when I don't want to see it anymore. So in that sense, what I'm really doing is updating that existing to-do list item and changing that one field. So turns out I already have an endpoint for updating an existing to-do list item. I can also access all my service and endpoint here. So I'm going to go back here to show you. So this is my backend, and this is the update that I've been using to change the done status, right? And now I'm going to make it better. I'm going to make it more sophisticated a little bit, just to include not only just done, but the deleted field as well. And that should be its own variable. And, let's try to true, same thing. Okay. This is a preview. Okay. And which one are we testing it on again? On 102. Okay, so where are you? 102. Here you are. So everything's at false. I'm going to put everything at true by testing this endpoint, if it works well. Okay, say hello, true, true. If I reload, true, true. Okay, so I've now successfully updated my endpoint to update an existing to-do list item. So I just have to use it now. So update, and you see I give it the ID because I only want to affect the specific item I'm looking at, and I want the delete to be true when I click the button. And I don't want to change the done status, so I can just leave it like that. Similarly, now the checkbox, I only cared about the done. I can just leave the deleted stuff that I just added empty. I don't want to change that at all. Okay, so now let's try. Okay, let me restart the preview. Okay, so that's the one with the typo. That I don't like. Here it is. Yet another to-do item. I'm gonna make that a little smaller. That's perfect. I guess it's too hard for you guys to see. Okay, so 105. I really want to remove that. So let me try to press that button. I clicked on it. Oh no! What happened? Did it not go through? Let's see. Oh, wait, it did. That's very interesting. So it worked. That item deleted field became true. Now the thing I'm missing is that I need to remove all the items that have that deleted field as true from the list. Right now it is quote unquote deleted, but I'm still showing everything. So what I want to do is we have this feature in Draftbit called Conditional Display. And so if I look at my data tab, I see Conditional Display here. I want to say only show me that line, that entry, if this value, deleted question mark, is, and then that's where you have to do some Boolean logic a little bit. I only want to show it if it's false, right? When it's not deleted, you want to show it. So if it's true, don't show it. If it's false, show it. So it's like reverse. So for that reason, I have to like negate it. So when it comes as true, I want it to turn false because I want to not show it. When it comes back as false, I want to turn it true because I want to show it. Anyway, if that's a little too technical, it's okay. You don't have to worry too much about it. But essentially, that's how I'm making sure I'm only seeing items that are deleted equals to false. So if I do now another example with the say hello back, now up, here it is. I clicked the garbage, the trash, and it went away because I've essentially just updated that field, and then the conditional display now at a different value, and therefore it was not shown on the in the list. And that's it. Let's see. What else is there? Let's add that. So now I have this, like I'm just testing it now. I have this, what else is there? To false, and I can make it true, and I can delete it. Well, first I can make it not true. Here we go, and I can delete it. So that's essentially the basic of my to-do list. What could be fun to show after that? We've listed all the thing, we've added to do, market to do as done, deleted to do. Let's see what else I could do that would be fun. What if I want to do one fun thing? See that title? What if it were like, by the way, in case it's not clear, I'm essentially done with my core use case. I'm just reaching now for like fun stuff to build. And actually, maybe before I go there, I should talk a little bit about navigate and preview. So we've been staying in design mode for since the beginning. Navigate lets you, well, in our case, we only have one screen, so it's very straightforward. There is no navigation, but if I wanted to maybe have like a specific screen for each entry, then I could have a little like link icon, and then you would go to a different screen and would pass it the ID so that when the second screen, you know what to show. So like that's where the navigation will come into play. We don't quite have that use case in this app. Preview is going to show you what it looks like for not only the web on web, but as well also on iOS and Android. So if you give it like a minute, it's going to show a little preview, which is super useful because you start to see differences between apps. And so like the first obvious thing we're noticing that you did not notice in web is that, ooh, what about the notch? What about the top of my screen with all those numbers and things? So that's great. You want to realize that because you want to go back to your design and to your options and say, let me remind myself, where do I set that up? Oh, here in the screen. So I want to, sorry. Where is my safe area view? Where is my safe area view? Interesting. Why don't I remember that? Oh, here it is. I thought it was the first thing I looked at and didn't see it there. Maybe, my bad. Anyway, so sorry, just a little tired, I guess. So you want to go to your screen, and in the configuration of the screen, you have this safe area view that is essentially going to do all the work for you to make sure your text is not in the notch. That's a React Native thing. We also, while we add it, right now we only have 2 items, so you don't have to scroll. But if we had more, we probably want to scroll. So now that you've turned those things on, I can go back and look at the preview. And hopefully it won't now be, it might not still be perfect. Like I probably still want to put some margin and padding, but at the very least, it should not show up above the text. Here you go. See, now it's like what you would expect from an iOS app. And so you can test it there. Something for Android that just showed up. Hello, iOS. Okay, I'm adding it here. There you go. And then maybe I want to do one. By the way, you see how like I didn't refresh or anything, and the hello iOS came back here. If I do hello web, oh. And here I can do hello Android. Okay, and as soon as he made the update, it picked up on everything else. So this is great. You can see the preview. You can see how things render. We're trying really hard, and part of the new Expo SDK 43 that I mentioned at the beginning has to do with making sure things are rendered just the exact same way on all platform, but it's not impossible that sometimes things will look slightly different. And so at the very least, you're better off knowing about it. Another way of previewing I'll mention, if you see that little play icon, you can try the Expo Go app on your phone, which is just an app you download. And you can scan that QR code that you're seeing on the screen. And if you do that in the recording, I encourage you even try it now. And if you give it a second, you'll see it on your phone. That's my app, and it's being displayed as a real app. And so what I typically do is even leave it right next to my desk. And as I make changes, it will auto update on the phone. So at any given time, you can see what you're working on your desktop looks like on your phone, which is really cool. Hello Expo Go. There you go. I'm going to add. Here we go. I added it. Okay, so that's essentially, you see it now. Hello Expo Go. Again, you can turn that on. And so this is essentially all you need to do, all you need to know for preview. Once you iterate a bunch, when you're done with that, you can commit your code to GitHub. You can publish as a PWA, or you can even export your entire code. One thing I did mention is at any given time, you can see what the code looks like. It's a React Native code. It's it's completely standard, and you can export it. And there's nothing hidden. You can take your app and leave Draftbit if you want to. This is your app. So that's kind of the last mile. That's what you can do when you're done building an app. Let's see, before we go, I think we have 5 more minutes. I want to try to do one small fun thing before we go. So I want to do, there's a couple of things I can think of. The first one is to order them. So and that should be super quick. When I mark them done, let me go to preview, it'd be nicer. When I mark them done, what if they would go at the bottom? I don't know if I love that interaction, because then things might be moving around too much. But folks, that's the beauty of no code. You're going to time me. I'm going to try to do that in 30 seconds or a minute, fingers crossed, and then you can experience it and see if you like it. And if you don't, remove it. So the way I will do that typically is by in the endpoint that returns all the data, this one, get to do. If I'm not mistaken, my backend allow me to have something that's sort. Let's find out if. Let me see. That should be in our doc. So, and this is, chances are whatever backend you use, they have pagination arguments and limits and sorting and all of those good stuff. So here there is a sort that I can do even in specific order. So let's try if we can add that bit quickly. Sort on the done status. I'm not going to do the or yet because I think I might not need one. Okay, so test that. So the done is now false, false, false. It's all false except the truths that are at the bottom, which is actually the order I want. If it were not the case, I would have to change the order. But so now if I re-preview, oh, did it actually? I feel like it might not have taken that thing into account just yet. I'll give it a minute. It's still trying to preview. Actually, I can try it here too. See, sort equal on false, 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 true, 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 true. Okay, so let's see if that is taking a bit of time here. Oh, I think we got it this time. Wait. I think it might just think my intuition is that it just takes a second to be taken into account, but because it's in the right order here. So I feel like the preview is just a little bit out of sync, but it should. Here you go. Okay. So now the real test is if I turn this one on, it should go at the bottom of the list. Let's find out. Here we go. It went to the bottom. And now if I click it here, it should go right up above this one. Here we go. Well, went all the way to the top because we don't have a second level of ordering. It's either just you're done or not. But that's pretty cool. So see, as I uncheck stuff, they go to the bottom. And now the very last thing I want to do is that title, when it's done, when it's checked, what if I crossed it? Would that be cool? Let's find out. Let's see. I'm going to do it. Title 2, or title crossed. Okay, so this is going to be my title. We're going to give it title. Okay. Of course, we don't. We actually. I'm going to remove this one. No. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to remove this one. I'm going to, when it's done, show the crossed one. So I got to cross it. Here it's a line through. Okay. So we're going to use that conditional display feature again. Only show the crossed one when done is true. And only show the non-crossed one when done is the opposite of true. So I'm going to use that negate transform. And here it is. Look at that. So I'm going to rename that. Cross is not very clear. So this is the title when it's done. And so when I undone it, it moves back and it's not, there's no line through anymore. Now I can go one step further and maybe even change the color to make it just look like a grayer. Okay, well, maybe even more a little bit light. Okay, look at that. And now things go up and down and they change color. Maybe, I won't do it because we're getting close to time. And maybe you only want to show the delete after it's crossed, like done. Or maybe not. I guess sometimes you just want to delete stuff. Yeah, that's pretty cool. It'd be fun. And now I keep thinking of ideas we could do. Like you could do that when I type something. It could at first be like a search for that. And only when it doesn't find it, give me the option to add it. So that way, if you have a very, very long list, maybe you want to search for hello, and then you see it, and you can mark it as done, or maybe you don't see it, and you're like, okay, it's not in there, so create it. Anyway, that's a little bit more involved. I probably won't do that in now, particularly because we're right at time right now. But this is it, folks. So this is my to-do list app. I can see it on my phone. I can preview it on web, iOS, Android. I can export the code. I can turn that into a binary that I can build and publish to test flights. We've done multiple videos where we kind of cover that process. So if you're curious about that, kind of last mile, have a look at that. And then I think, were there some announcement I had to do? Let's see. Oh, yes. Okay, a couple of things. The easy one is if you liked this kind of live stream, I highly encourage you to check out our weekly office hours. We have 2 office hours every week, one on Tuesday, one on Thursday. You can see those are our fancy or funny faces. We do it on Tuesday and Thursday, and it's just an hour of us talking about it, talking about your issues. So come, you ask questions. We look at the community side to answer people's questions. So we try to be very active. So come and do that. Have a look at that. Better than that, well, not better, sorry, just I'm very excited about it. So that's why I said better. My coworker, my friend Nick, just released a series of 5 introductory 5 videos to introduce Draftbit. Here's the playlist, and is forget about the ad, but it's genuinely cool. If you were ever curious about what can I do with Draftbit or how do I kind of get started. So hopefully this video I just made was helpful. But if you look at his playlist, it starts by talking about layout and design, just overall how to use kind of the builder to put components on the screen. And then the part 2 is navigation, how to go from one screen to another and pass information around. The third is about connecting data with the backend you're using. The fourth one is interaction. And the last one is about previewing and sharing your application. So here, I'll put that in the chat. This is highly recommended playlist for people who are maybe new to Draftbit or just want a high-level view of what's possible. Those are like short, concise, like to the point videos that I highly recommend you watching. And the final thing I'll mention is we have a blog. Here we go. Oh, no, sorry. Here we go. Where we just published a mega tutorial. It's pretty long and in-depth and very detailed tutorial about how to create an Instagram clone on Draftbit. So it's a 3-part tutorial. Our good friend Aman and coworker Aman released that. This is part 1, and it goes into step by step everything you need from your backend to your front end. It's a kind of a collaboration with Xano as a backend, but you can take that tutorial and apply it to any of the backend. But they just do a great job at providing kind of templates to get started. And so, like I said, Aman goes into every single detail, so it should be very thorough. And that's it, folks. Let's see. Let's look at our app, like finished app. Oh, geez, look at that. That's a to-do list app in like an hour. That's pretty cool. So excited. It worked out all right. And with that, I wish everybody, maybe everybody who's in the US who's celebrating it, I wish you a happy Thanksgiving, and everybody else, I wish you a great week, and we will see you later. Bye, folks.